Hey scholars, welcome to the guided practice section of today's lesson. Let's go ahead and get started. Cool. So the majority of the lesson I'm going to do on the right side of the screen. So I'm going to go ahead and make that the full screen so you guys can get the best visual of what I'm doing. Okay. So for this guided practice, I've asked you to rewrite each of the 3 new amendments in your own words. So let's go and break down what that's going to look like. Okay, so the directions are to rewrite the statement below in your own words, okay? So this is the statement below. I have a hint here. We'll take a look at that later. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime, whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Now, these words are written, or these amendments are written with complicated words, complicated language, so it's going to be really important to pay attention how I break this down to make it make sense. So let's start. So, neither slavery or involuntary servitude, these 2 things are basically the same thing. Involuntary means you're not a volunteer. Servitude means serving or being a slave. So, to do something without wanting to, or slavery, is not going to be allowed, except as a punishment for a crime. So hold on, let me remake these annotations. I'm gonna use a different color. I'll use blue. Use a lighter blue. Okay. So neither this thing or this thing is gonna be allowed, except. So right now, keywords are neither, except, and that's pretty much it. So neither slavery, neither this thing or this thing will exist, except as a punishment for a crime. Okay, so let's look at the hint. Think about what rights are trying to be protected with this new rule. So what is being protected if the government is saying slavery is no longer allowed? What did slavery take away from people that this law is now going to try and protect? I'll give you about 5 seconds to think about that. What did this amendment try and protect that slavery took away? Freedom. Freedom is what this law is trying to protect. And freedom is what was taken away during slavery. So when I write this in my own words, sorry if I'm moving it so much. If I write this in my own words, I might write something like, okay, the 13th Amendment. I'll put little colons here because I'm about to tell you what that is. The 13th Amendment was a law that protected people's, not protected, it still does, that protects people's freedom. How did this law protect people's freedom? By making slavery illegal everywhere in the U.S. except as a punishment for crime. I think that looks good. It highlights everything we annotated, and it's definitely answering the question. So what I put is, the 13th Amendment was a law that protects people's freedom by making slavery illegal everywhere in the United States, except as a punishment for crime. Let me talk about what this last part means, because some of you might think, so there's slavery still around today, just if you're a criminal? The answer is yes and no. When you're a criminal, depending on the state that you would be in jail in, some jails will have prisoners do physical hard labor. They'll give them tools and they'll have them dig for stuff. They'll have them mine or try and find like precious minerals or materials. Sometimes criminals are the ones who clean up highways. So if you've ever noticed trash on the highway and then you drive by that same highway and the trash is gone, it may have been a crew of people who are in jail that are doing this to try and get time off of their jail sentence. But they're working without pay, typically in some states. But recently, there have been moves to try and get them to be paid, even if it's a few cents, because something is more than nothing. Okay, so we broke this one down. I'm going to go ahead and delete it, and we'll get started on the 14th Amendment. Okay, so now here is the second one I gave you. Let me change my color. Cool. Same deal. I have a description of the 14th Amendment as written by the U.S. government, and my goal is to try and put it into my own words. So let me read the amendment. All persons born in the United States and under its laws are citizens of the United States and of the states where they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law that violates the privileges or rights of citizens in the U.S., nor shall any state take a person's life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny any person equal protection of the laws. Like the last one, there's a lot to unpack here. Okay. For me, the most important thing is the very first sentence. All persons born in the United States are citizens, okay? Let me use a different color so we can see more clearly. Okay. And then it says, no state shall make or enforce laws that violates the privileges and rights of citizens. So this is saying the rule for being a citizen in this country is that you have to be born in this country. And then the amendment also says no state can make a change to that rule. Because some states might try and say, oh, we don't want these people from outside coming in, so let's make a new rule, and to be a citizen, they have to do something else than other states. This amendment says that states cannot do that. And then I think another extremely important thing, no state can take any person's life, so the state can't kill you. Liberty, the state can't make you a slave, or property, the state cannot take your things without due process of law. So due process of law means having your day in court and being able to like plead your case. So if you guys sometimes get in trouble, you want the teacher to hear your side of the story. You want to have that ability to explain the process you went through. That's what this is saying. The government cannot kill you. The government cannot take your freedom away. The government cannot take the things you paid for, your property, without due process of law, without your day in court. All right, so let's take what I highlighted in the burgundy red and what I highlighted in like the turquoise blue and put them together into my own words. Okay, so just like the last one, I have a little hint at the top. It says, think about what rights are trying to be protected. Well, my rights as a citizen are trying to be protected. So I'm going to put maybe, okay, this is the 14th Amendment. I might put this amendment defined a U.S. citizen as anyone born in America. That was the first part. That's what we put in green here. Now let's make sure we write in the part we annotated in blue. No state or government can kill you, enslave, or imprison or take your stuff without your day in court. Again, if you guys are having issues with the way I'm breaking this down in terms of understanding it, please, please, please let me know and get into contact with me. Okay, we have one more that we need to break down, so let's go ahead and get to it. Okay, the very last one. The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be violated by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, or previous servitude. So the 15th Amendment, even though it doesn't say it here, it is limited to just men, okay? The right of citizens in the United States to do what? To vote shall not be violated by the United States or by any state based on these things. So a state cannot say you can't vote based on these three things. So a state can't stop you from voting if you're of a different race. The state can't stop you from voting if you're of a different color skin. And the state cannot stop you from voting if you were a slave before, previous servitude. So, voting, I'm going to put for men, becomes extremely protected. This is in an effort to try and equalize or make equal the recently freed African American men to white men so that white men, especially in the South, don't continue to live the way they did and act the way they acted with African Americans even after slavery has ended. So this 15th Amendment is meant to give power to African American men where they did not have any before. So, 15th Amendment. What did it do? It protected voting for men. This I don't need to put since I'm wording it that way. Okay, the 15th Amendment protected voting for men, and then I'm gonna put regardless of race, color, or previous. That was pretty well worded right here. Previous servitude. And again, previous servitude means the things you have served in previously. So an African American free person previously was an enslaved person. They were in a servitude. Cool. So I just broke down and helped you guys with the 3 questions for the guided practice. The independent practice is not going to be this exactly, but it is looking at a reading, putting things into your own words, giving me evidence, so things you've done before. So go ahead and write up your answers for the guided practice section and then move on to independent practice. See y'all later.